The best of the week on Relevant Radio.
My guest today is Paige Rienzo. She was an on-camera designer for HGTV's hit show Hidden Potential for 5 seasons. You have a profound Catholic take on interior design and being at peace within your own space. But right now, I'd love to touch on hospitality, along with how our Catholic homes actually should look different from other homes. Let's start with hospitality. How can we cultivate better hospitality in our space and even the way we create our space and invite other people into them?
Well, first of all, thank you, Timmerie. This is such a great topic and so timely. And I think I'm having my first summer where my house does not have drippy popsicles that someone abandoned and wet bathing suits and the sprinkler on nonstop, flooding the backyard. And so, my kids are 18, 16, 14, and 12, and they're spending a lot of time outside the house or away traveling. And so, first of all, it is a very short season. For some of us, very, very short. And if you have a bigger family, it's still short, where you've got little guys that are home a lot and want to be in your house over the summer. So first of all, as moms, it's a total surrender, but it's a surrender that it's not forever. It really isn't. And so living in that space where summer is magical in the backyard, oh my gosh, in many ways, I wish I could go back there. I wish the backyard was enough for my teens these days, and it really isn't. With it, that's okay. They're supposed to move on. But the first thing I just want to say as a consolation, it is a surrender. But all of the family home is a surrender as parents. Like, this is not, the culture teaches us it's a showpiece. The materials in the home are basically reflect who you are and how well you've done in life. Actually, the family home is the domestic church where we're raising the next generation and we're investing in love and formation into future generations. So we have to really reorient our mind of what the house is for. And touching on hospitality is biblical. And if we think of it in that regard, even on our previous conversation, we're talking about that invitation on college campuses, that invitation to young people. It's just as important for whoever is in your season, your neighborhood, your life circle, to just invite them into your life. If maybe they are, maybe there's a new couple or a new family just moved in on the block, or there's a new family to your parish, or there's just an occasion where you haven't seen a family in a while, and maybe you think they're struggling or they're having a hard time. The invitation, you don't know what that invitation will do. It's really in God's hands of what two Catholic families or two families of faith, or a family of faith does for a family that's not in the church and not of faith. You don't know that impact. And so the perfect meal, the perfect, summer tablescape, all that stuff that's not it. It may make you feel good, and it may be fun to do. I know for me, sometimes it's really fun to get into that stuff, but the meat and potatoes of hospitality is not that. It's inviting someone into your space, into your family life, and just doing life with them for a few hours. And the beautiful thing about the summer is it's really informal. I love formal hosting of Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays and even the winter. But gosh, the summer is really a time to strip it away, go simple, spend time outside, simple foods, and just really enjoy each other's time with, later bedtimes and less structure, and just leaning into that, I think, can help everyone relax.
And I think that's an important season, as you mentioned, for that short period of time for those who do have the littles within their home, the informal, the going simple. It's funny, I had neighbors over for dinner the other night, and normally I'm trying to make at least, a main dish and a side bit dish and then whatever side dish they're bringing. And all I got to by about 3:00 in the afternoon was frozen patties. Thank God we had in the freezer. And I'm like, okay, this is all I've got. I did end up making some hamburger buns because I didn't have any buns or bread to go with it, but I've learned that's really easy to make, and just some toppings, and that was it. And it's funny because sometimes you start to apologize in situations like that, but I didn't give an apology. I just said, hey, I didn't plan dinner till later, but this worked out really well, and we enjoyed some burgers and the side that our neighbors brought over. And I bring that up because we put so much unnecessary pressure. And I love that you mentioned, let it be informal, let it be simpler foods, embrace some of the messiness that can be there, because the season does go by very quickly. What advice, Paige, do you have for those who are maybe heading into that little bit more of an emptier house because kids are getting older, or maybe that empty nest where things are starting to feel a little quiet and you could do with some camaraderie within your home?
Gosh, that's really the spot where my husband and I are. And as I'm listening, I'm like, first of all, I've got to get the hamburger bun recipe because there's so many times where we have the meat and no bun. So I'll take that from you later.
30 minutes, you got it.
Oh my gosh, that could be a game changer. I honestly think hospitality is our biblical obligation, and I mean that. It doesn't mean we have to have a 50-person dinner party. It doesn't mean we have to have 5 courses, but hospitality on some level. Maybe it's one friend, maybe it's coffee or just tea. You know, Sally Clarkson is this incredible woman that's written all these books about tea and hospitality and discipleship and conversation. And she's actually my favorite home book in my whole career was written by Sally Clarkson. It's called The Life-Giving Home. And it never divorces hospitality from the home itself and the way we set up our home. And I think that's spot on. You know, and unfortunately in secular culture, we don't want to think about people sitting in the chairs because we want to be able to look at the pillows and all the things perfectly, you know, set up. Like it's almost like we desire the spaces to be empty because they can be enjoyed better. You can look at them and enjoy them by looking at them unused, you know, unspoiled, pristine, like a real estate listing, like a nonstop real estate listing. But that is not Christian. And again, it is our biblical obligation, number one, to have a life-giving home. And then when and where we can, be hospitable to one or many. I kind of like a smaller group. Sometimes I like big parties, but sometimes I like a smaller group. And even in this conversation, I'm reminded, wow, you know, there's a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. And we can have a very simple potluck, just get together. In fact, when my senior in high school leaves in the fall, I'm going to do just let's get together, pray over these kids, and bring over whatever food you want to share. And so nobody has much time, but I really want that. And the only thing that would stop me from doing that was like, wow, we don't have enough time to plan something elaborate. Oh, no. We're here to pray over the kids and be fortified with some food. That's really the goal. And so again, the one thing I also want to mention, Timmerie, which we don't talk about enough as women, is to really, let's lean into where our strengths are. So if you are a great cook, if you love to cook and you want to make an elaborate meal, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful gift. Do that. And then that's going to sort of kind of steer you into a particular kind of hospitality where maybe the food is more of the joy of that evening. But if that's not your gifting, you know, it's okay to order out. It's okay to order pizza. It's okay to say, come over for dessert. Come over for an ice cream sundae bar. That was like my favorite thing when my kids were little, is to go out when we had 2 hours and we just thought of it. Like, okay, let's invite the McCarthy's over for ice cream sundae on Sundays or milkshakes. And it's not a whole meal. It's just inviting another family over. And it's so fun. There's something about the summer that really opens the door to that too. Because
and with the kids,
last minute stuff and
with the kids, something I've started doing is, hey, I'll bring the food for the adults and you do the frozen chicken nuggets for the kids, or vice versa, like kind of making it simple, but then maybe it's something, a little special salad for the moms or whoever to enjoy, and the kids can have something easy if you do want to make, you know, something that's a special meal for maybe parents who don't have something. But when you mentioned the informality of the tea, the meeting at a park, those little elements of how simple and light it can be, it's a good reminder that we overcomplicate the invasion of people into our space, because we think of it as an invasion or we think of it as a huge responsibility when we can just keep it light.
No, it's true. And I also think we can constantly think of different ways to connect that actually don't have much to do with food and booze. And as a sober person, I'm always looking for that. On Good Friday 2 years ago, I had an unhappy hour party. And it was a really kind of tongue-in-cheek thing where I said, we're not going to drink alcohol. And I invited all my sober friends, by the way, and they all came. And I said, come over. We're not going to have meat. We're not going to have dessert, but we're going to come and connect and listen to music. And then we're going to walk up to the Friday night service together. It was so fun.
I love it.
It was so fun. And it was like a reminder to the non-sober people of like that it's not essential, you know. And that's what's essential is the fact that there were a lot of people that didn't know each other and were meeting for the first time or connecting, and we all walked up and the weather was beautiful, and it was so fun. So, you know, I do put out alcohol for people that drink for normally, but this was a special occasion where we could kind of tongue-in-cheek. Everybody was sober that night. And again, it's the focus on the people, really. And I think my gifting is not the food, but tend to bring a lot of people into one space. I do love that. Or even like games for the teens. Like I love Family Olympics and doing stuff that make people laugh and Minute to Win It. As your kids get older, like those things are so fun and they break the ice. And Nobody's thinking about the meal or how pretty or not pretty your house is when they're playing a game and trying to win.
And spoons was a big thing growing up. I can't tell you how many people to this day, whether it's friends, family, cousins, still have all those special memories about the time we whipped out the spoons and were playing during the power outage, during one of the fires in Southern California, or at a special holiday. It's a very formative memory that many of those who grew up within my parents' home still have today. Mary's on the line in San Francisco, California. Mary, welcome to Trending. You had a thought about this hospitality element that you wanted to share.
Yeah, my mom and dad are both from Ireland, and forever, as long as we can remember, their home was open to everybody's home. As growing up, my mother, when it was Thanksgiving, we don't know who would show up. And she'd set the table for 10, there might be 15. And for my whole life growing up, any of my friends that would come over, she loved them as she loved myself. My brother's football team at State College, she had 12 or 15 of them over for dinner, and never was there any kind of a problem. Everybody was together. That's what she instilled in all of us. And she passed away in September. And some other family members are in the house right now, and she's passed away. And what they are trying to do in her legacy is just so, it's not what my parents have taught us, to open up your home. Instead, now it should be sold and it should be gone off and taken care of and let other people enjoy that home. But the same, whatever she taught us is not going that way. And there was a little pillow I have from her, from where she had to go into a senior home because she couldn't come up and down her stairs. But it says, home is where your mom is. So wherever we do this, if it's not in your own home, you create that feeling. It does mean so much for so many people to open up your home and hospitality in an unconditional love kind of way, and not hold it to look at the pillows or to say, oh, I deserve this more than anybody else. That was not the way we were growing up, and that's why her home was so open to everybody else. So I don't know. I'd love to know how we can tell that younger generation. Well, they're 40 and 45; they should know better. But I don't know how we can get that from their own family. We all grew up the same way. How do you get everybody to keep doing that way? Because that is the right way, you know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Mary, you've got it. You're right, Mary. And we've lost it. And I've even seen that I struggle with it. I have to be better at not thinking it's an invasion into my space, especially when they're little kids. It can be so difficult because we just try to hold on to control so deeply at times within our space. And with what I think we also have a low tolerance for people as well. That's part of the problem with the difference of opinions, or even with family, the butting in of ideas and disagreements. And there's a lot of discomfort amongst all of that. But I love that you mentioned, Mary, that your parents' home was everybody's home and people knew that. And it was reminding me of a couple parties I've thrown recently where I had a good chunk of about 15 people show up with no RSVP and multiple occasions now, and I'm just so surprised when it happens, and I'm sitting here nervously worrying. I checked with people, they didn't tell me they were coming, but I'm happy that they felt comfortable enough that the doors were open and they could just come, and God duplicates and took care of the food because somehow it all worked out. And I think we see this more and more often, Paige, when we really do leave the door open. The miracle of, okay, I'm just going to eat a little bit less sometimes, or somehow someone shows up with a big box of strawberries and there's some extra popsicles in the fridge that feed people. It really does work out in the end.
Oh my gosh, it does. And Mary, thank you so much for sharing about your family home, because it makes me want to have a party tonight in my house. And it makes me want to just invite everybody. And it's so interesting. I don't know what can explain it. I think our homes have become very precious. I've watched this in my own lifetime, whether it's the home has really been thought of as like an asset that we're supposed to protect, you know, by hook or by crook, no matter what happens, so that we can hopefully make some money when we sell it. And I think that attitude has made us feel like it's an obligation to preserve it, not use it. And then especially if we invest to furnish it in a way where we don't want it to get messed up, we can't replace it. So I think there's been a preciousness and like a holding on really tight to the home that's happened. And I've watched that in my own life. In fact, I've realized that I'm different in my home when I have something new and I've spent some money on it. And the only way to break that habit is to not buy new things. I mean, the only thing, and I mean that very seriously. Like if you're going to buy something for your house And you're going to then be different. Have less people over, wince when your kids' friends come over, don't like it when your husband comes in, he doesn't take his shoes off first. If that's going to change everything, it's not worth it. The thing is not worth it. And this isn't to say we don't have rules. Of course, we have some rules. We take shoes off. I have a brand new sectional, and I had a bunch of kids came over, and they all had a red popsicle, and it's leather, so it's not the same level of intensity. But I said, girls, I love that you're here, but please be careful. I couldn't help myself. But I also have bought a brown sectional, and I have a navy rug. So I've been it's been beaten out of me to buy things that I would worry about. We don't do cream colored rugs. We don't do light blue rug. We don't do anything like that because I don't want my things to change the way I behave with my people. And I want what Mary was describing. I want that. We had a graduation party for my son, and we didn't think anybody could come because it was the same day as the graduation, and we just didn't think anybody would be able to come. And everybody came, and it was amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so great. I wish I invited even more people. It was just one of those things where you forget how joyful it is to have a house full of people.
But you created that atmosphere, Paige, where people still want to come in the midst of a busy day because you've created an atmosphere where people enjoy being together. They have that camaraderie.
That was the best of the week on Relevant Radio. The best way to listen to the best of the week is on the Relevant Radio app. Free and always free. Download and share the #1 free Catholic app today in the App Store.